Hello and welcome back. So today I am with you again and we have to discuss a very important topic of leadership traits which will be of immense value. It is a small thing, it doesn't actually change the message, but it changes how you deliver that message and how that most important communication is made. Tact is very rightly called the lubricant of life, and it is which makes life easy, interactions comfortable, and the relationships manageable. It doesn't mean giving up your authority. It doesn't mean compromising, and it doesn't in any way put you as a leader down or make you a weak leader or something. It just is an indication that you are sensitive and you mean well and you mean to be effective in any situation whatsoever. See, you cannot change the others to your frequency. You cannot change the behavior of everybody else around you in the team as per your standards. You cannot make everybody as knowledgeable, as intelligent, as hardy, or as resilient as yourself. There will be people who will be sensitive. There will be people who will be complexed. There will be people who will be triggered. There will be people who will misunderstand. And there are chances that there will be people who will deliberately lie to you and try to, manipulate you. So you have to be able to get the message across. You have to get the work done. You have to make sure that whatever you desire is done. So the rectification, the correction, the change of course, etc. has to be done. It will bloody well be done as per what a leader wants, but then how he conveys it and how willingly and how happily, or you can say how comfortably his team reacts, that is the hallmark of a leader. It is very easy to throw your weight around. It is very easy to demonstrate that you are the boss. It is very easy to prove to your subordinates that yes, you are the one who is paying the check monthly. But then, does it not make you an arrogant fool who is just because of pandering to his own ego spoils the atmosphere of the whole game? So you just think about these things, and whenever you come across a situation, you will have to tailor your message accordingly so that you are able to get across to the people you want to get across in a manner which is most comfortable to the recipient. So, how do you develop this essential skill? So, there are basically various means of communication, and the first one is that understanding your audience is very important. So, you have to see whom you are talking to, their communication styles, and how they will be perceiving your message or how best they can understand. Sometimes it is said that लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते. Sometimes there are people, आप उनको थोड़ा सा भी insult करोगे तो वो रोना शुरू कर देंगे. So you have to see what kind of a person you have. There are people who बेशर्म होते हैं, उनको जब तक आप गाली गलौज नहीं करोगे, tough बातचीत नहीं करोगे, धमकी नहीं दोगे, पनिशमेंट नहीं दोगे, डिसिप्लिन के अंदर घसीटोगे नहीं, तब तक वो सुधरेंगे नहीं। सो एज लॉन्ग एज दे आर यूजफुल टू यू, यू हैव टू यूज देम। तो वो कहते हैं ना कि यू नो in army, you know, we have been doing this court of inquiries, and in the court of inquiry you take the statement of a witness or anybody who is involved. So you generally do it in English. So now there are people who do not understand English properly or who are not comfortable, and whatever be the thing, there is mandatory a sentence written in the end of the statement that the above statement has been read over to the individual in the language he understands and he signs it as correct. So the point what I'm trying to say is कि जिसको जिस भाषा में समझ आता है उसको उस भाषा में समझाओ। तो उसके लिए आपको जानना पड़ेगा कि भाई ये बंदा जो जिससे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, ये जो ग्रुप जिससे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, जो टीम जिससे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, इनको कौन सी भाषा समझ आती है। So that is the most important part of communicating, कि जिसको जिस भाषा में समझ आता है उसको उस भाषा में अगर आप समझा सकते हो तो आपके जैसा लीडर कोई है नहीं। So this is the first part. The second part is that you don't have to be insulting, you don't have to be personal, and do not resort to any inflammatory language. Just be restricting yourself to facts, factual behavior. अब जो हो गया वो ऐसा हुआ है, आपके द्वारा हुआ है, आपके समय में हुआ है। अभी आपने नहीं किया, आपने क्यों किया, आपने लापरवाही करी, आपकी इंटेंशन ये थी, आप ध्यान नहीं देते हो, आप ये नहीं करते हो, आप वो नहीं करते हो। सो डोंट बी पर्सनल, बी फैक्चुअल, रिस्ट्रिक्ट योरसेल्फ टू द सिचुएशन एंड फाइंड आउट एंड सजेस्ट वेज एंड मीन्स टू इम्प्रूव द सिचुएशन। बिकॉज इफ यू स्टार्ट द एक्यूजिंग गेम, then everybody else will start trying to find excuses कि ये इसलिए नहीं हुआ, ये उसकी गलती है, ये इसकी गलती है। So let us try to not be accusing people of any such thing unless it is deliberately done and it is required to be found out and required to be punished and taken to a logical conclusion. Otherwise, avoid these personal attacks and inflammatory language. Do not lose your shirt unnecessarily. Though I remember our senior command book on leadership. So in that one of the paragraph or chapter तो नहीं था, paragraph or something I read, it was written that you should throw a fit sometimes. Sometimes you should just bloody throw a fit, lose your shit and let everybody have it. Once in a while, maybe 6 महीने में एक बार. But then don't do it every day. You can't afford to do it and just start screaming and abusing and all at every small little thing. Your people will never approach you. They will hide the things from you. So there is no point. And you will lose your own this thing, and one day you will bloody, blow a vessel in your head and you will be very worse off. I'm just in a lighter sense I'm trying to say, but then you don't have to be very abusive, inflammatory and insulting at all the times. Don't lose your shit all the time. Lose it sometimes. For shit replace the word shirt. Don't lose your shirt all the time. And then the third point is having empathy with the other person and trying to see as how the audience or the person you are communicating with sees the thing. What could have been the motivating factor of his behavior? Whatever he or she did, why? What possibly could have happened in her situation, in her mind, with her way of thinking, with her level of understanding of the things. You may have a computer operator and you may have a head of a IT division. So both of these people are not same as far as their understanding, their IQ, their exposure is concerned. So if a computer operator makes a mistake, you will have to look at it differently. But if your head of IT department makes the same mistake, you will have to see it from a different angle. What was his motivation? Why he did that stupid, silly mistake which a computer operator also should not have done. So try to be empathetic. You may be able to also, anticipate his reactions. कि मैं इसको ऐसा बोलूंगा, मैं ये कहूंगा तो ये इस तरह से react करेगा. Then you can counter that also and manage the situation well, so that in the end you have a open and a receptive environment where everything is taken in the right spirit for improvement and not as a blame game. Then the next point is having a right time and place. When you want to give an advice to somebody, do it when they are at peace, there is no rush, they are not moving around, or there is not a lot of noise around us, around you people. And they say when you want to praise a person concerned, do it in public, and when you want to pass strictures, do it in private, so that the people do not feel embarrassed and insulted in public. Also, you have to see that there is some sensitivity maintained. How many things can be made public? How many things will have to be kept private and confidential? That also will have to be seen in the light of what the subject is and what the kind of a person is. Like if there is a subordinate leader, you want to correct him, it cannot be done by issuing a public email which is accessible to everybody, including his subordinates. So if his subordinates get to know that their boss has been bullshitted by the highest authority in the organization, then they will lose the respect for their intermediary boss or the immediate boss. So that is hampering his style. And that if you hamper the style of your intermediate layer, you are hampering your own efficiency. You are screwing up the whole organization if you insult your subordinate bosses in front of their juniors. So you have to be sensitive to that, and that is how you should be able to handle any kind of a corrective action. And the second thing is positive framing. Be positive as far as possible. Use a language which is not offensive. Use a language which is encouraging. Use a language which leaves a scope for hope for future and not a permanent closure. So this will happen when you deal with situations, and it will be absolutely different for different situations, different organizations, different sectors, different businesses and things like that. But then be positive in even saying a negative thing. You will learn the art when you go through these examples in your own life, and when you see how you were treated or how you treated somebody in a not a very positive manner. Then the second last point is body language. You can't be angry, you can't be crossing your arms, you cannot be not using the eye contact, you cannot be feeling as if you are defensive, or feeling as if you are apologetic. You are saying something which needs to be corrected, but you are apologetic about it, and you are already saying, sorry, I did not mean to say this to you, but then So if you are correcting, then you don't have to feel sorry. And if you are feeling sorry, please feel sorry for yourself, that you are such a leader that you have to feel sorry in front of your subordinates. So there is a difference of, being afraid of your subordinates and being positive and empathetic to your subordinates. I have seen people who are weak leaders, they are very much afraid to correct the behavior of their subordinates, because they are firstly themselves not strong leaders themselves, they are not strong professionals, and secondly they have come up the way by licking their own bosses in their own time. So they expect people to lick them up, and they do not have the guts to correct them strongly, because they are afraid that they may either leak out certain information about them, or they may not cooperate in future, and then they will not be able to handle the work. So whatsoever be the pressure, you cannot, but if there is some people who are absolutely indispensable, absolutely crucial, maybe a kind of a scientist for a rocket launch mission or something, you can't do without him. So then that can be understood, but then also for a limited period, for a limited time, number of instances. It can't be, somebody who takes the whole organization for a ride, because he is the linchpin of the organization. Organizations can't survive like that. They can't be blackmailed because somebody is too good and he is threatening to derail the whole organization, unless his whims and fancies are, pandered to. So if you have something like that, this kind of a high flyer, please find a replacement at the earliest. Otherwise, then you will be taken for a ride, you will be blackmailed, and you will always be, under pressure. You will not be able to touch him. And then there is the last point which I was telling you is be tactful. So sometime it is better to not say anything in the heat of the moment and let the thing pass, and then reflect upon it. Maybe let the heated argument be avoided, and convey the same thing in a different time, at a time when people are more receptive. Because when the heat is on, then it can only lead to heated arguments, and no solution, no wisdom will dawn. So these are the things which you will need to handle when you are dealing with difficult situations. You see, I will only give you one or two examples, actually one type of example. When I was a brigade commander, my deputy brigade commander was my course mate. And he was in a neighboring company in the academy, and we were good friends, and he was a direct entry, same as me, and we were in touch. So he happened to be my deputy brigade commander, and he was there in that place for more than 1 year, and as a very efficient and very, very competent deputy, he was in control of everything, and he was managing the things very well. Similarly, when I was the GOC, my deputy GOC was again my course mate, another course mate. And he was from NDA, and he was from very same company of mine, a different platoon, but same company. He was also in the chair since more than 1 year with the previous GOC, and he was also a very efficient, very competent person, and he was handling the departments under him very, very efficiently, and he was managing things very well. So now the point is that in the army it is the commanding officer is the king, the brigade commander is the king, the general officer commanding is the king, You cannot, counter him or in his orders or in his decisions. He is the ultimate authority. So that is the concept in the army. The boss is always right because you have to follow his orders. And orders are for the defense of the nation. Orders are for battle winning. Orders are for safeguarding your frontiers. Orders are for ensuring that the enemy doesn't even do anything. And I am talking one situation was in the field where I was responsible for 75 kilometers of the line of control. And the second was in peace, where I was involved with 6 states. The administrative, logistic, real area work of 6 states. So I was supposed to be the ultimate authority. But then my deputies were my course mates. So this is where I had to really make an effort. But then because I was, a good person all along, I am not an arrogant bastard. And I don't have any qualms about learning from my juniors or, even being comfortable, like from a Safai Wala till a Prime Minister, I have been very comfortable with all levels. So I was able to pull it off very comfortably. But then there were moments when the thing was, they were thinking, as if their authority or their this thing is being questioned. And in fact, one of the fellow was senior to me in IC number. Way senior to me in IC number when we passed out. But the thing is that we had a very nice working relationship, and they moved out after about 8 months to 1 year working with me. I will not say under me, but with me. And the brigade and the sub-area where I was, we did very well. We did exceptionally well. In fact, I got my Sena medal while commanding that brigade. And I have such sweet memories and such fond feedback, and even I now even go back to those places and I am welcomed with open arms, and people talk about what great work we did. So it would not have been possible if I had confrontation and ego problems with my 2 deputies. So there were even many other things, like how to handle a difficult boss, how to handle a difficult boss's wife, how to handle awkward situation with your equals. I had another class fellow, another course mate who was a brigade commander with me. I'll tell you a very interesting thing, but maybe I'll tell you some other time. I was, okay, I will tell you this next time, promise. So next time will be an extension of this, and I will talk to you about how we hosted Katrina Kaif and handled the Jai Jawan Karyakram of 2011. So next Sunday I will give you the story of Katrina Kaif and how she was with my brigade for 3 days, and what all happened and how we managed it and what all transpired. So wait for that and see you next week. Take care. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.